Hello, my YouTube listeners. I present here a talk on Korea-India connection given in 2018 at INCO, Chennai, India. My name is Kannan and I am associated with Tamil Heritage Foundation, India. I have been fascinated by this ancient connection from the day I arrived in Seoul in 2003. I have presented my findings in international seminars, conferences, public talks, and in television interviews in India and abroad. Most of my videos in YouTube on this topic was in Tamil, which is my mother tongue. After I started telling this story in social media, an avalanche of videos appeared by Tamils and of recently by Koreans as well. Unfortunately, most of the videos were casual and not based on peer research. Here is a presentation to show the interested how a history can be rebuilt based on evidences. This talk was given at INCO, the Indian Korean Center in Chennai. I thank Dr. Rati, the director of the center, in constantly encouraging me to do research on this ancient connection. When Ilion compiled these folklores, he wrote it in Chinese because Hangul was not invented then. So we need to understand the Chinese meaning first to derive her Tamil name. The royal team from India arrived there in a ship with a red sail and a red flag. Among the precious gifts she brought from India, such as tea plants, 7 storm-preventing stones, and 12 stringed musical instruments, she also brought with her precious stones including jades. This is derived from the Chinese letter U, which means jade. The color of the jade is also mentioned as red. When combined, it will be red jade, which in Tamil will be Chempavalam. The Indian queen was associated with the color red in more than one incident. In Tamil, red is called Sivappu or Semmai. Thus, a red jade will be Sembavaram. So I call her Sembavaram, which is now popular among the Tamil enthusiasts. Mr. Parthasarathi, who proposed a Hindi name called Suri Ratna, meaning charming stone or a bright jewel. Probably Chembavalam fits more with the storyline. We need to consider here the genetic research of Dr. Jong-sun So and Kim Jong-il, which state that Koreans are related to South Asians. It is highly likely that the genetic mixing happened only after the arrival of Chembavalam, as it is not an Indian custom to send a girl to a faraway place unless there were blood relatives there. There is a possibility that Kim Suro himself would have Indian blood in him. Overall, more than 6 million Koreans trace their lineage to Queen Ho, namely Gimhae Ho, Gimhae Kims, and Lee. In Chinese, Kim means gold. One can guess that royalty is associated with gold. However, Ho, which is from the Indian queen, has no proper derivations. I propose that Ho is derived from Tamil Ko, which means royal. Ko might have been softened to Ho in Korean.
Koreans and Indians are relatives to each other. Hello everyone, this is Kaiva and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about the reason why the relationship between India and Korea is especially special. When the movie Life of Pi was released in Korea, a lot of Koreans, including me, my friends, were really shocked to see a scene in that movie. And when all of the people came out of the cinema after the movie, we talked about did you hear him saying 엄마 and 아빠? And in Korean, it is like exactly the same. I call my mom 엄마 and my father 아빠, like mother and father, mom and dad. And some of you guys might say like, in English, it is like mother and father, like M and like F or P sound. 엄마, 아빠, mother, father. Yeah, that is what I just felt at first. But how about nation is called like 나라 and 나르. The grass where you play soccer is 풀. In Tamil is 풀. And grasshopper in Korean is 메뚜기. And grasshopper in Tamil is 메뚜구디. Can you believe that? It is like grasshopper. It is not about mom and dad. It can be similar because it happens often in other languages too. And you might say like, okay, is that it? Is that the reason why you, Kaiva, is so like excited? No, there are thousands more similar words like in this way. This is the one like I just picked out like randomly. And you might question like, why?
The most obvious connection between Koreans and Tamils of India emerges from their linguistic expressions. Linguists often state that two languages are connected when words of human relations are similar. Thus, Tamils and Koreans call their mother Oma or Amma and father as Appa. Homer points out in his book that both Koreans and Tamils use similar words to point oneself and others, the so-called vocative particles. For example, nan in Tamil means I. In Korean, it is nanin. You in Tamil will be ni, and Korean, it is no. As Keva explains in this video, there are a lot more words which are very similar. Illion's narratives of Korean origins connect India, particularly Tamil Nadu, very closely. The origin story begins with Dangun Wangyom, who had descended from heavens with 6,000 heavenly beings, with cloud, wind, and rain gods as his ministers. The head of the heaven was mentioned as Chakrodevendra. These similes fit well with Indian myths. For example, an ancient narrative called Vaiganospati Charitram describes how humans appear as a lineage from heavenly beings. Chakrodevendra literally means the god with a disc who is Krishna, who is an avatar of Sriman Narayan, the Supreme Being. This may not be surprising if one realizes that the name of Thailand is called Siam. Siam refers to Krishna with his black color called Shyam. The influence of Hinduism in South Asia until China is well documented. Hence, it is not a surprise that these origin myths have gone all the way to Korea. Now, let's see how closely the myths resemble. Dangun descended from heaven and appeared under a sandalwood tree on Taebaek mountain. First of all, sandalwood tree is not native to Korea. It is a hemiparasitic tree native to semi-arid areas of the Indian subcontinent, especially in Western Ghats. These myths could have reached Korean soil much earlier than the formation of Kaya Federation. Korean historians consider that Dangun have founded the kingdom in 2333 BCE. This timeline fits well with the recent understanding of Tamil roots. Additionally, Dangun marrying a bear girl resembles a story in Bhagavatam where Krishna married a bear woman called Jambavati. When I presented to the world the links between Korea and Tamil Nadu, people did not believe me because of the vast distance between Korea and India. However, if one digs deeply the ancient history of South Asia and China, one finds evidences of ancient connections. For example, Tamils have been settled in Burma, Malaysia, and Singapore. There are plenty of cultural ties between India and Indonesia, India and Thailand, India and Cambodia, India and Vietnam, and China. It should not actually surprise anybody that Korea and Japan were also linked to Tamil Nadu, India in ancient times. Professor Kim Byung-mo puts it this way: India and Korea are not such distant countries. They are countries long bound by commerce and intermarriage. And in this incidence of marriage between the young royalty of India and Korea, Buddhism was formally introduced to Korea. Certainly a matter demonstrating significant transference. Transference is a phenomenon in psychoanalysis characterized by unconscious redirection of feelings from one person to another. Probably that's why more than 4,000 Koreans are in Tamil Nadu, working for more than 200 companies in and around Chennai. This is possible only if there is a transference. Where do we go from here? Some critical studies are due. For example, Korean-Tamil alphabetical system, linguistic relationship between Tamil and Korean. One may explore Hugh Cho's travelogue written in 8th century. Study on Tamil folklores on Korea, if found. More genetic studies between India and Korea. Historically speaking, it was Jung Nam Kim, a Korean journalist in Canada, contacted me in 1990s regarding the connection between Korea and Tamil Nadu. Similarly, Mr. Parthasarathi, the former ambassador of India to Korea, briefed me about Heo Hwang Ok in Seoul when I met him in 2004. Mr. Shiva Balasubramani, popularly called Orissa Balu, joined me after Chemmari Manadu in 2010 and made it possible to have 3 joint seminars on Korea and Tamil Nadu involving Korean scholars. Former Ambassador Kyung-so Kim was very supportive of our studies. Tamil Heritage Foundation, the mothership of this research, has brought a book on this ancient connection in 2016, which I edited. I brought a book on this topic in Tamil in 2017 titled The Tamil Queen of Korea. In 2011, before leaving Korea, I met the scholars at Korea Institute of Civilizational Exchanges in Seoul, and one of them brought a book on Tamil Korea grammar in 2018. On July 26, 2016, I presented my work at Korea Institute of Ocean Science and Technology, KIOST. Look closely how I resemble Dr. Kim Song-kwon, a descendant of Chempavalam. Here I end this presentation. New evidences keep coming towards the ancient connection between Tamil Nadu, India and Korea. So, keep tuned.